Okay, today I want to kick up your sense of self-value. We're gonna raise what's going on inside your mind about how you feel about yourself and what you feel is value. So to begin, let me think about what the difference is. You hear a lot of people talk about self-worth, but I want to talk about self-value. The reason I want to talk about value is because I'm a value kind of guy. I like everything in the idea of value over worth. If you look at, it feels like to me you can put numbers to value. Everybody has a little bit of self-worth, but value seems to have a more numbered type base to it or something in your mind. And so I like to use the word value over worth anyway. So back when I was a kid, we used to have this thing called self-esteem. I don't know if any of you younger people out there right now that are watching any of this, if they do self-esteem in your school anymore, but this used to be a big thing when I was a kid. They always talked about raising your self-esteem, feeling better about yourself. And we worked on this stuff all the time when I was a kid. There was our teachers and our mentors and our parents and everything were constantly empowering us in some way to think better about ourselves, to think that we had some sort of level of value. And when we came home, our parents, well, we were raised a little feral back in the 80s and 90s, but still our parents still made time to say, man, you have lots of value. You mean so much to us in some way. We always felt that way. And I'm not positive everybody feels that way maybe today. I don't know. I understand. Let me give this example. When my son was playing basketball, a parent would come up to me and say, "Wow, he's amazing. Wow, he's doing really good. I love watching him. What do you do to get him to work so hard all the time?" And I would just accept the compliment. I loved hearing wonderful things about my kids. I loved hearing these things. So I would just say, "Oh, yeah, this is what we do. Thank you. I love it that you appreciate this or you recognized that he was working really hard." And I took the a compliment. Now, if I were to reciprocate that compliment back to another parent, "Wow, your kid's doing amazing." They always seem to kind of go, "Yeah, well, then they hummed and hawed about it. They didn't like the compliment, apparently. I don't know. Maybe they liked it, but they didn't know how to engage in the compliment and how to accept it. Being a man in this day and age is knowing how to accept a compliment. And I am going to do a one video on how to accept compliments because nobody does it better than me. So I think you're going to love how I do that. And I think you're going to really enjoy it to see how to do it and feel really good about what is being said about you or said about your family. But back to the self-esteem thing, I think I haven't hardly ever heard it ever again since I was a kid. There's so many little things to it that it feels like in this day and age we're walking this gray line, this fine dynamic of where you are going to be high self-worth and or modest and humble at the same time. I don't like working in those gray areas, and I understand that a lot of people they do it all the time. They're be humble and kind. What is that the thing we hear all the damn time? I don't totally buy that. I'm sorry, I don't. I think you should always be thinking highly of yourself and not be afraid to tell people how you feel about yourself. Read the room, of course. You don't stand there grandstanding with a bunch of bullshit that you can't back up with results. That's just garbage. That's just bullshit. So don't do things like that. But understand what you're good at and be comfortable with being very good at it. Be comfortable being one of the best at whatever it is you do, and find amazing. What would I find that it feels really good to be really good at what you do, and that other people recognize it. That becomes a sense of self value. You're going to bring value to them, maybe eventually someday, in what it is that you're so good at. Now, here's something you men, especially you younger guys, if you're in the 20s to 30s age bracket, understand something about high self-worth. You really need to know this. Women dig it. They just do. Take it from guys like me that have been married for a long time, been with the same woman for a long time, been with other women, been when we were younger for a long time ago. This is something women just are drawn to, is a man who thinks in terms of high self-value. You can guarantee that when you're older, married, and been around for a long time, and you come home from a hard day of work and you bitch and complain about your day, or you just are completely just complaining, just straight complaining, that is the strongest scent of sex repellent you will ever put off. Women just do not go for the complaining man. Now, they're built to be compassionate. I understand that. They're going to be supportive. They want to help you. They want to be a part of being on your reckoning to come back from whatever you're complaining about. But if you complain every night or every day or consistently come home and complain, and I'm not worth all of this, or your boss is being a jerk, or whatever. Men complain about everything. Some of you guys are the biggest little bitches I have ever heard in this world. And your women, your girl at home is absolutely turned off by this. You don't even realize it. They, like I said, they might be compassionate, but they are completely turned off. What you need to be doing is to begin thinking and exuding high self-value type energies into your everyday, into your relationships, into your work, into your personal life. You always got to be thinking in those terms of a high self-value, and I'm going to go over a couple of things that'll get you there and help you. Now, I get it that high self-value does smack a little bit of arrogance. This, for whatever reason, people, they don't want to be arrogant. And I get that the word arrogant has a nasty connotation, and that being self-absorbed, arrogant, cocky, with that could come with the high self-value way of thinking. And that's okay, because I'm going to ask you a question. Something you need to be just thinking about, something you need to begin to get comfortable with. What did arrogant hurt anyway? What is that doing? If you're coming off a little arrogant, who are you hurting anyway? What's the end game of being a little cocky, of being a little arrogant, being a little self-absorbed? Now I get it, you don't do it so much that eventually you're just turning people off. But what is it hurting other than that? Just a few little things. Maybe you're turning off the right people away from your life anyway. May ever think of that? Sometimes being exactly who you are, being so comfortable with yourself, loving who you are, your existence, will eventually be a weed out process to people you probably don't want in your life anyway. I have lots of friends that are no part of my life whatsoever, and I just became more of who I am. And they eventually started to flutter away, and I just don't see these people anymore. And you know what? I don't miss it. I don't look back. I don't worry about it. I have new people into my life. I have amazing people back into my life now that have an immense appreciation for who I truly, authentically am by the level of my self-value that I put out there every day. So think about what it is that is really hurting anyway. If you look a little arrogant, you look a little high strung on yourself, people might say something to you, but say, yeah, but you know what? I love this. I love what I'm doing. I love this life. I love my kids, my family. I love what I've worked for and have achieved. And there's nothing wrong with loving that so much. I get this whole being humble. I have a hard time with the word humble just because of its meaning. And if you look up what the definition of humble is, it'll say something to the effect of like minimizing one's own importance to whatever the situation is. But it's minimization of importance. When was the last time you saw an incredibly successful person, no matter what they are? You know, you have your household name success or just people you know that are successful. And when was the last time they felt like they were minimizing their importance in anything they do in any part of their life? They never do that. They never minimize their importance. They are always the most important person to whatever it is they're doing in the circles they're in, the business they're in, their relationships. They're the most important. They think of themselves this way all the time. So understand that. Think about when was the last time someone minimized their importance. Don't minimize your importance to any situation that you're in. All right, the high sense of self-value does three amazing things for you as you become more comfortable with it, as you start to exercise it into your life and apply it into everything that you do. First of all, it's going to improve your relationships and your sex life. Women just dig it. I said this before, women dig high self-value. Ask any woman if she wants to be with a guy that is just a doldrum all the time, that's complaining about shit, or the guy that is like, hell yeah, I feel great, I look great, I'm doing great things, my business is amazing, my work's amazing, I'm amazing all the time. When they're thinking about that, but also paying attention to their relationship, that's like a drug for women. It is, they become addicted to this side of you that thinks so highly of themselves. That is, I can't even explain why that is. I'm struggling for words because I just don't understand exactly what it clicks in them, but it's there. And if you love who you are and you love sharing that with her in some way, that's it. You've got her. She is hooked on you for what you are because of what you think of yourself. So constantly be raising that level of self-worth around your girl. I promise you, it is amazing. In your personal life as well, people really want to be around incredibly positive people. They just do. That just is like a magnet to bring good people into your life. And remember, if your self-worth, your high sense of self-worth is driving other people away, it's probably driving the right people away. That's something you have to start to become very comfortable with. Maybe I imagine you probably know this and you may not want to even admit it, but there is probably somebody in your life, some person in your life, friend, maybe even a relative, that you need to get out of your life. You need this person out of your life, whether you want to admit it out loud or not. Deep down inside, you need to go, yeah, this person, whatever, is not working for me. My best friend from high school, he's out. We're done. We're years. I've struggled being friends with this guy. He was one of my best friends, and at a point where I'd had enough, I completely got that guy out of my life, and it's been nothing but amazing. And I'm sorry that those are some of the sacrifices that you may have to make, but I've never felt better about who I am now that I've had this bozo friend out of my life for a long time, for over 10 years now. We just, no more. That's it. Professional life. Now, bring up high levels of self-importance and self-value into your professional life. I promise you, there's not a boss, there's not a company owner in the world that wants to be with someone who thinks of themselves in low self-value. They just don't. You're not going to get people who are in charge of companies and bosses and supervisors and owners that are going to want to be around somebody who's, I'm just, I'm okay at what I do. I'm okay at this. That are always putting off this, not necessarily negative energy, but this low value energy all the time. Because when you're in the professional world, when you're working with your boss, you're working with people who own the companies, their language is always about sell, sell, sell. They're not afraid to go out and brag a little bit about their company. My own company, I have no problem whatsoever going to a customer and saying, we are the best at what we do, and these guys I have working for me, nobody is better than them. I give them a reputation to live up to. They don't always love that. But I'm not afraid to say that, because if I go to a customer and say, well, we're pretty good at what we do, do. There might be better people than what we do. Just this low value energy all the time, you're not going to get the contract. You're not going to get the gig, the job, the whatever. You constantly have to be thinking, it's okay for me to brag just a little bit about this. Be okay with that. That's, so many people are not doing it. You're going to start to stand out from everyone else when you're not afraid to say, fuck yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best. There's nobody better. And if you're wrong, here's where a lot of value can come in. Huge values can come in. I can say, I'm the best at what I do. Nobody's better than me. And if somebody proves me wrong and shows that they're better at it than me, then I can say, I was wrong about that. Now I have more work to do to beat that guy, to be better than that guy. You have this idea that you don't go, oh God, I was lying, or I was being unauthentic or untruthful about this situation. No, it's like, oh, you know what? That guy showed, he stepped up and proved me wrong. Now I have a target to shoot for, which is way out past what that guy's going to do. So you see how self-value thinks highly out and forward all the time and never retracts back and goes, oh shit, I was wrong. Oh God, I'm not worth this. I'm just full of shit all the time. No, that's not it. It's forward thinking, constant forward thinking of high value. So you're probably saying, all right, how do I get there? What are some actionable things I can do to start getting there? All right, well, here's one of the things you're going to have to really start getting comfortable with is what you are really good at. Understand that, get to know that yourself, of what it is, that one thing, and just pick one thing. You don't have to, nobody's just wonderful at everything and perfect at everything, but everybody can be really fucking good at one thing. So get really comfortable with that one thing and say, this is what I do. Remember the story, I read the story in a book, and a reporter was talking to Leon Spinks about what it is he did. He said, hey man, what do you do? He was a boxer. He said, hey man, what do you do? And he goes, I knock motherfuckers out. That right there is what you do. You need a I knock motherfuckers out thing that you are incredibly good at, and be very comfortable with being good at that and being comfortable in telling people that you're good at it. All right, that's one of the first things you can do. The second thing is to build relationships based in what value they bring to me. That can be a really hard one because you might have a lot of friends that provide no value to you whatsoever. Or old friends from the neighborhood, things from back in school, these guys you hang out with all the time. What value are they bringing to your life other than hanging out, drinking beer, going golfing, whatever? I get that. I get what that is, but think about this. That's what everybody else does. If you want to be better than everybody else, you want to be higher than everybody else, you got to stop doing what everybody else is doing. Now, I'm not saying you go to those guys, the old guys from the neighborhood or back in school, and say, all right, fuckers, you're out. I'm done with you. This is my new life. Poof, we're gone. You don't have to do that, but you can start separating yourself from it, and you can start pushing a little further out. You can maintain these relationships. I understand that, but you need to start distancing yourself from the things that do not bring value. This is one of the topics we will go over a little bit about dating, being the asshole that women like to date. People understand that the assholes are the winners and the nice guys are the losers. That is the thing that's going on in the world. You will have to have somebody in your life that's going to bring value to you. I don't want to give too much of this away because I have a whole thing on it, but understand just relationships with your friends, with your girl, with your business, within your company. There's people you work with that bring no value to your career whatsoever. These people lateral or underneath you, they don't bring anything to your career that's going to help you exceed and move further up. Don't be mean. Don't completely flush them out. You're the kind of person that has to work with these guys. But understand, don't put too much investment into it because they may not bring you a hell of a lot of value and where you're going to go. So don't put too much time into that. Begin to start working your way up the ladder in who you need to build relationships with in your work, Who's going to bring you the highest value? If you work at some great big company, at least I worked for a multi-billion-dollar oil company. When you get hired, this is your job. This is all you can do. No matter how much effort, no much how much time you put into something, this is what you do. And in order to get hired, it's a big deal. And it used to be very frustrating because they wanted you. They really did just want you to do your job. There used to be this big joke that went on in the company. It's like, you can never get fired here if you just maintain. If you just keep cool, keep your head down, and just do your work and don't rock the boat and don't try to reach higher, don't miss days and shoot lower. But if you just maintain, they'll never fire you. You can work here the rest of your life. Well, that's not true, because I got let go and I shot way above everybody else on lots of things. I became a project manager when they told me that it was impossible to become a project manager at where I was in my position. So this is something where you need to be. What I'm saying is, build those relationships with the people that matter the most, those decision makers, those big bosses, those big whatever they are, but decision makers are the big ones that you need to build your relationships with, and think of that as your high sense of value. I get to be friends. I get to go over here and work with this guy because this person is going to bring immense value to my career and what I'm going to bring home to my family every day. All right, one of the third things you can be doing is you need to be challenging yourself to do better. Everybody can do better. I don't care who you are. There's so much weakness out there in the world. Who couldn't do better? And you know you could be doing better. So why not be challenging yourself to be doing better all the damn time? That is something that when you start to say, that's good enough, that should be a red flag. That is a hard thing to get past, because it's going to possibly create a lot more work. In our own work, in what we build in our construction work, I look at that and I think, man, really, this is good enough. But as soon as that pops into my mind, I'm like, it could be better. It could be more. The customer will be far happier if we do this last little bit of beautiful craftsmanship or whatever it is. We know we can always maybe it takes a little more time. Maybe it even adds in a complete day to your project, but it doesn't matter. You're always thinking in terms of what you could be challenging yourself to do to be better. All right, there's so much that you're doing right now that brings no value to your life. You need to start getting rid of things and activities that bring no value to your life. Social media, video games, porn. These things just bring no value. They are simply stress pacifiers. Think about what happens when you're stressed. Get stressed out about something bad's going on. You grab your phone and you just start scrolling, getting your mind out of reality into somebody else's life or into a game or into whatever you're into. And it insulates you from the realities of the stress and the pressure. All right. You've got to get rid of those things. I'm not saying get rid of them completely. I'm not saying that you have to be this person that completely cold turkeys all that stuff. I get it that this stuff is in our life and this is what we experience. But it can never be time wasted on these activities. You have to look at the activities and the things you're spending your time on and say, is that building me up in my value? Is that what it is? Does that do anything for me? I'm coming down here every day, doing these videos down here in my shop, and it's cold. I'm using my time early in the morning to build up more self-value for myself and self-value for my family, and what I'm going to do with all of this work that I'm doing down here. All right, the last thing I want you to know about self-value is you have to understand the word no. Saying the word no, I can't do that, is more power than you can ever imagine. And you'll see lots of successful people, and they'll say, I heard this one story, a guy talking about how successful he got, and he said, I didn't get super successful until I started saying no to opportunities, employees, investors. There were certain people in his life that he had to start saying no to his family, immediate family or extended family. He just had to start saying no to some of that stuff. That is so hard. Saying no to people who need you, who admire you, who want your advice, want your help, want your insight. Saying no to them is the hardest work you may ever do. So be prepared to be challenged and challenge yourself to saying no because it's incredibly hard. I know so much of my family and so much of my wife's family. They constantly need us, and we love them so much. We want to be a part of that, but you have to make sure. And I heard this saying one time that you're not setting yourself on fire to warm others. That's something everybody really needs to work on. And I know it sucks. You have to admit that it sucks, but it is a thing where you will eventually begin to build a set of principles off of what your value is. Having your own set of principles is amazing. It is absolutely one of the most amazing things you will ever experience is being able to develop your own principles and be able to practice them and put them in as your core beliefs. And saying no means that you have them and that you're going to stick by them. So work on saying no, kick that self-value higher and higher, and we'll keep working on this.